What is so special about the American passport, and how many times have you applied for a green card lottery, and were you lucky enough to win?
I would apply every year after year after year. I did that 15 years in a row. There's a time I almost missed my flight because they kept me for nearly 1 hour. My son, who was a citizen, was cleared in less than 2 minutes.
Patrick Ochieng from Game made a whopping 15 attempts and never won. His education achievement, however, gave him the distinguished honor to call America home.
So you need to put in some work and be as professional as you can. Don't be cavalier, don't be casual about things.
What is so special about the American passport, and how many times have you applied for a green card lottery, and were you lucky enough to win? Patrick Ochieng from Game made a whopping 15 attempts and never won. His education achievement, however, gave him the distinguished honor to call America home. Hello and welcome to Diaspora Life. My name is Pasil Telewa. Today, for the first time on the show, we host a Kenyan diasporan with 2 PhDs based in Alabama. Welcome, Dr. Patrick, to the show.
Thank you so much, Pascal. I'm honored to be invited.
Anytime.
Yes.
You're the people we talk about. The show is there for you. Tell me, when did you go to the US?
Yeah, several years ago. So in 2003, I got an opportunity to travel to the United States, and especially I went to the state of Michigan. It was an exciting time. I really enjoyed because I got this opportunity to go abroad. It was the first time I was traveling outside the country, and the excitement that I had was just out of this world. Yeah, so in 2001, that's the time 2003, sorry, that's the time I got an opportunity to travel. It was an academic opportunity that I had. I had been accepted to Western Michigan University, which is in the city of Kalamazoo in Michigan. So when I got that opportunity, I said, this is the opportunity that I'm going to use to change the world. Of course, I took the opportunity. I went to the embassy and I was given a visa, and it was just one of those bright moments, because just a week ago I had lost my mom, and because I had lost my mom, it sort of like came as a reassurance that there was light at the end of the tunnel. So when I got that opportunity to fly out, I jumped onto it, and there I was. I took my flights and I was in Detroit, Michigan. So from Detroit, my friends picked me up, and I was in Kalamazoo, and that's the beginning of my life changing. And I really must appreciate that opportunity, because it has completely changed my life.
Tell me, how did you get this opportunity? People hear about scholarships and application. How does it work? How do you get to be selected?
And that's a very good question. Actually, I'm glad you asked that question. So the way this came about is I was working in this company called Crown Badger Paint. So I happened to work there with some very talented colleagues. And you know, we were not really satisfied by the kind of pay, for lack of a better word, that we were getting. So we thought that we needed to move around so that we could change our lives. So one of our colleagues there, Dr. Joel Luande, actually came with the idea that, oh, you know, I want to pursue education somewhere in Michigan. And then he actually became our nucleation point, if I would call it. So he inspired us that, you know what, you guys can go. So he is the first person to apply. He went through the process, and then he went to the US. So then we say, this thing is possible. Somebody can come from Nairobi here somewhere, and then you go to the US. Then there was the next person who tried and went. Then there was the third person who tried and went. Then I said, wow, maybe I need to give it a shot. It's doable. So I went and, I did my applications very competitively. There's something there they call statement of purpose. Yes. They want to see what's your purpose in life? What do you want to do with your career after you will have attained that degree? So that's what I really emphasized on. And I wrote a very good, in my opinion, very good statement of purpose. I got some friends to proofread it for me. And I think that is really what was the turning point, because when I submitted that application with the statement of purpose that I wrote, I just imagined the reviewers going through it and say, this is somebody we want to be in this institution because he is destined for great things. So yes, you have to be really prepared. You have to put your best foot forward. And I think that's what many people don't do, is you just want somebody to dish out something for you. No, there are no scholarships to be dished out. You have to compete for them. So that's what I did, competed for them, and I happened to have been selected. And the day I got that letter, and this thing that I had been hearing from people called I-20, I-20, when you heard that term, it was a big term. So when I saw I-20, the I-20 came, somebody delivered it to my work, I was like, thank you, God. This is what I've been waiting for. Finally, I have an opportunity to travel to the United States. My salary then, if I could frankly disclose, was $16,000 in 2003. When I saw the letter with the award, I was going to get a stipend of $14,000 per year. That's similar. Then the exchange rate was 70 shillings. So that was like somebody who was getting me from 16,000 salary to nearly 100,000 per month. That was mind-boggling to me. And I said, okay, my life is going to change, and besides, I'm also going to acquire an education. So that's how I was able to go, and as they say, the rest is history. So let me just say it was my first time to be out of the country. Never been to Uganda, never been to Tanzania, anywhere. That was my first flight outside to a foreign land, and then I get into this flight. I remember because my flight was through Doha, and then from Doha to Frankfurt, Germany, and then from Frankfurt to Cincinnati. So I remember from Frankfurt to Cincinnati, the flight was packed with the Caucasians. In Kenya we call them white people, right? So it was my first time to be amidst all these Caucasians, and for once I was like, I felt out of place. And my even the way I spoke English, my diction, how I pronounce words, I'm like, I just feel out of place. And so when I landed in Cincinnati, and then another flight to Detroit, then all white people, I feel inadequate, to be honest. I was feeling like inadequate, and I'm like, how am I going to navigate this? So when I got to Detroit, and they picked me up from the airport, my friend Dr. David Achila picked me up with Dr. Joel Luande. So, and I am in Kalamazoo, and this is a beautiful city, small but beautiful city, and I get into this apartment, and I'm like, man, you guys are living so good, because I had just come from a single room. I was living in Jericho in a single room. These guys are living, and everything, the TV. So I was just blown away. The roads that I was seeing, the highways, I was like, there's no pothole here. and I'm like, what? Yeah. This is a different world. So it was just a different culture. Yeah. So I loved the fact that things were just fancy. You would walk into the doors and they just open themselves. And you're like, wow, I've never seen this. Yes. Yeah, so it was just a different culture. And the way things were working, and you know, you go to what you consider a public toilet, and you can actually eat food in there.
It feels like you are in
It
the
feels
house.
like you are in a house, and I was just like, thank God I'm here. So it was wonderful. So I enjoyed really the first few days. The other thing that I sort of enjoyed was, you know, there was the food that, you know, we all crave when we are in Kenya. Unajua, we are used to,
Special meal.
yes, we are used to ugali, batumbo, and all these things. I was like, this is my opportunity to eat pizza, to eat burger. I remember my friend took me to McDonald's, and in McDonald's he bought a whole burger for me, and this is what surprised me. They give you a cup, and then they say that is for the soda. It's a meal, so they call it a meal. So you have this burger, fries, and all this, and then they give you a cup, and they say, this is a soda. You can take as much as you want.
Yes.
And we sat in the restaurant there, and I just drank one soda after, I mean, one cup after another, after another. I was like, this is just out of this world. Yeah.
Tell me about you wanting to settle down, you know?
Yes.
You're doing well in your academics, and now you think as a man you need to have family.
Yes.
Or rather develop further.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Did
yes.
you come home? Did you decide to do it there? How did it happen for you?
Yes, yes, that's an interesting question. Yeah, so I was going through my master's. So just to say, I went to do a master's in biochemistry. So my undergraduate was here in Kenya. I graduated from Egerton University with a bachelor's in biochemistry. So the scholarship was a master's in biochemistry. So and as you know, in the US is pretty intense in terms of lab work. So in this area, you are almost always in the lab. So either you are doing coursework or you are in the lab. And part of the scholarship was teaching. I was required to teach, and teaching undergraduate students lab. Okay, so it was pretty intense. You really don't have time for connecting with the other people, and so you are always in the lab, or you are grading, or you are marking. In Kenya, we call it marking scripts. Or you are running, or you are in a class. So after that, then I think it took me about 2.5 years. And then at that point, a year before, I had gotten into a relationship with another lady who was in Kenya. And then we were communicating. So we continued to communicate, and then we dated. I came to Kenya, I flew to Kenya. Okay, we met, we knew each other, you know, and then we continued the relationship. So after some point, we decided that we needed to be a little more serious and take it a little further. So the day of my graduation, then I flew out the following day. So I graduated in 2006. And then the following day, I flew out to Kenya. I came to Kenya. We had organized for a wedding. So we were going to have our wedding here in Nairobi. And so I came, and we had our wedding. It's a beautiful wedding. And then after the wedding, thankfully, things went very well. Within a week or two, she also got a visa. She was working here, so it was a difficult decision that she was going to leave her job and come with me to the United States. But because we were married, I think that was a no-brainer. So I went first, and then about a month later, so she had to resign from her work. Then she came to the United States.
You say you send our regards to Philip and Simon.
Oh, thank you.
And your spouse.
Yes, Lily. Lily.
They didn't want to come with you to Kenya?
Oh, they probably will come another time. So at this point, they were also involved in other assignments. So hopefully next year or sometime next year, they can also come.
How is it bringing up these children, and especially right now that they're in their teenagehood?
Yes, that's a good question. Actually, bringing up a family in the US, or children generally, is a challenge. So one of the things that I must say, it takes a lot of sacrifice. You don't have a brother, sister, a mother who you're going to leave your kids with. And when we had, especially our firstborn, my wife did not do anything other than to sit home and take care of the baby. One person has to be home full time. And so she sacrificed nearly 5 years of her life just taking care of the baby, for which I'm very grateful, because it's not something that we can take for granted. So she was taking care of the baby until the baby was ready to go to school. So when the baby transitioned to go to school, then at least she was able to get into doing other things.
I think we can rise up a little bit. I want you to tell me a little bit about how was it feeling every day you're waking up and you're still a foreigner?
Yeah, that's one of the most difficult experiences, that especially as a foreigner. That's one thing you understand when you go to a country which is not your home country. You start to understand pretty quick that that's not your country. There are certain privileges that you don't enjoy. And like the voting privileges that we're talking about, like just being able to look for a job anywhere you want. That's a privilege that you don't have. So for many people, the advice is, why don't you look for somebody who is an American citizen, so who you can marry, and they can help you file for a green card, and then within a short time you have your green card. But to me, that was not an option. For me, freedom is one of the things I cherish. And I said, I'm willing to come back to Kenya. I'm ready to come back to Kenya. If it's not going to work, I just want to go through the right process. In fact, what I was doing, hopefully, is that every year I was applying for green card lottery, with the hope that
you will get it.
Mungu atanionekania.
Mungu
atanionekania. So I would apply every year after year after year. I did that 15 years in a row.
You are not giving
I
up.
was not lucky enough. I was not lucky enough. But here's where the breakthrough came. And I guess the lesson is sometimes you need to just be patient. Do what you are good at. So what I was good at is I was going through school, so I did my master's. I finished my master's. I was hired for 1 year as a visiting professor in Grand Valley State. And when I went there, I started teaching. I fell in love with it. I was like, I love teaching. I love doing research. And then I said, I am going to pursue my PhD. So after 1 year, I resigned. I applied to Michigan State University.
Where it all started.
Yes, from Western Michigan to Grand Valley State, now to Michigan State, all in Michigan. And I said, I am going to pursue a PhD. So I did a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology. Actually, I did 2 PhDs. So one was biochemistry, molecular biology. Another one was quantitative biology. So it took me 8 years to graduate with these 2 PhDs. And this is where it all started. Once I got all these accomplishments, because when you are doing PhD, you are doing research, you are doing all these things that are important, especially in the scientific world. And the accomplishments that I had. So when I graduated, and I was hired as an assistant professor. So I started as an assistant professor in this university in Alabama. And as I was in there, then I said, I looked back how much I've accomplished. And I said, I'm just going to put it down in form of a write-up for documentation. When I presented it to the US Department of State, I was awarded a green card on the basis of a person with exceptional abilities in the national interest of the United States. So to me, that was worth the wait.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did that feel?
That was really for me. It was I smiled when I read the letter. I just smiled and I say, God, you have seen me through this. it's been a long wait. I've tried lottery for 15 years, but you knew that lottery was not my thing. So maybe this hard work is what has earned me this, and I'm grateful that I have this. And finally, we had a green card in a record 6 months. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, in a record 6 months.
Yeah.
That's how quick it was, because the threshold of getting that kind of a green card is very high.
Yes. Where did you grow up from, Mr. Patrick?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I grew up in different places. So I was born in Pumwani Hospital, but then my father was working in Kenya Meat Commission. That's at the river. So we grew up in at the river most of the time. I went to school in St. Paul's at the river until I was in class 6. So class 6, then Kenya Meat Commission collapsed. And because Kenya Meat Commission collapsed, so everybody had to go back home. So we went back to the village. So I come from Gemrai, Nyakach. So that's in Kisumu County. So all of a sudden we were thrown into this from more like a city life to the village life, and it was rough. It was rough because the money that my dad had sort of ran out almost within a year. His money was gone. So, and again, that is one of the problems, because you are working in this place and then you go home, you cannot provide for your kids. So now it was tough in the village. We walked several miles or kilometers to school without food. Many times I went without food. And there were moments I wished I was a houseboy so that I could only eat. That there were a houseboy for somebody so that I can eat. Because we came to a point where things just ground to a halt. Sema kuchoma makaa. Nilichoma makaa.
Sai kuchoma makaa ni hatia.
Ni hatia. Wakati ule, I may have, with sincere apologies, I may have contributed to the global warming, but those many years in the 90s,
that was a mode of survival.
That was the only way we could survive. So we did that and would sell, and we went sometimes days without eating. I have plowed on people's nimepalilia kwa mashamba ya watu to get money. Nimefanyia watu kazi. All this, so I understand where this has been. So it was a tough upbringing, and one person came to me and told me, Patrick, your life is probably not gonna be the same if you embrace education. I come from a family where nobody had attained a high school education. So this guy told me, education is gonna change your life. And I embraced education. So I wanted to go to school. I was desperate for education.
Mr. Patrick, to young people watching you, listening to you, our, the centennials,
millennials and centennials.
And even your younger kids,
yes.
Because I understand you have 2 sons.
Yes.
Tell them something. We wrap up the show.
Wow. Yeah. So the only message I have for the young people is, things do not just come like that. You got to put in some work. And it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years, it might take 15 or even 20 years. So you need to put in some work and be as professional as you can. Don't be cavalier, don't be casual about things. Try to look at things in a more serious way, because there are many people who are looking for those opportunities. You are not the only one. It is a competitive world. So put your best foot forward.
I think let's end the show right there, Dr.
Thank you for inviting me, and I really appreciate being part of this show.
Thank you for coming to
the
show.
Yeah, thank you. You are doing a great work. Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, we got to wrap up for today. We love it so much when you keep us company. So we look forward to seeing you again next week on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Kenyan time only on KTN News for more stories with a diaspora touch. Remember, we are stone throw away, so if you have a remarkable story you'd like to share with us, write to us through diasporalife@standardmedia.co.ke or DM us on our social media platforms at diaspora_life or at KTN News KE. You can also follow me at Pasil Telewa on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube for more of behind-the-scenes stories. Until next time, bye-bye.